What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well. And in this video, I want to quickly talk about Sui and Base and why I believe in terms of user adoption, these two ecosystems are by far miles ahead of the rest of crypto. If that sounds interesting to you, smash a like. And of course, as always, go grab your Nansen intelligence tools with the DXB discount, links in the description, as well as our partners Tangem as well if you don't have storage. But anyway, let's get stuck in. So I love these two ecosystems. Why? When you talk about mass adoption of crypto, you're looking at things like user UX or user experience. You're looking at things like speed, user interface, and both Base and Sui are leaders by a mile when it comes to that. Now, the interesting thing here for me is, despite the speed, of course, efficiency, comparison also has to be realistic. One is an Ethereum layer 2 backed by Circle and Coinbase. The other one is a layer 1 network from Mr. Labs, and that's backed by many different VCs as well. But the difference and the similarities are quite striking as such. The first real difference is not many people know Base actively pushes building on Base, okay? Mr. Lab has done that with the base camp of the Sui ecosystem. But if you look at the actual TVL, the Base TVL is absolutely growing, and it's ginormous, up 24% in the last 24 hours. Sorry, 1.5%. Stablecoin market cap makes up about 4.11 billion. You've got chain fees. It's made about $97 million. And these are just staggering numbers, okay? And we will go through some of the dApps. Now, Bridge TVL here is 18.065 billion. Active addresses, 1.42 million. Of course, there's perp volume, which is about 250 million. And of course, the DEX volume is way, way more. And the total app revenue is around just under $390 million. So Base is doing really well in terms of numbers. Now, if we go to Sui, or Sui, as they call it, 1.8 billion TVL. The stable market cap is 1.1 billion. The chain fees, 21 million. So you can see this ecosystem has a lot more to grow, of course. And I think Base gets bigger as well. So when it comes to the size of the dApps, you could clearly see there, Base takes it home as a layer 2 on Coinbase. It is absolutely crushing it in terms of numbers. All you have to do is look at the chain fees. And again, Base is the best layer 2, which is triple or nearly quadruple the amount of chain fees that Sui gets. Now, the problem with, or what happened with Sui recently has always been the hack and, of course, a slowdown in terms of the dApps. Now, let's have a look at the TVLs, okay? Let's compare the TVLs. So the largest TVL dApp or application on the Sui network is Sui Lend, okay? The 1 month change here is quite staggering. And the growth, or the one that has grown the most, or has been the most beneficiary, has been Bluefin. And of course, there's the DEX called Momentum, which has got about 91 million in terms of TVL. Now, Momentum is an interesting one, okay? Of course, you've got Scallop, Cetus, which has been massively affected by the hack. And you've got the likes of Navi Protocol, which is a lending and borrowing protocol. But if you look at the ones that are green, we're looking at post-hack, Bluefin, and of course, Momentum, AlphaFi. You've got other smaller ones as well. But for me, this is a super interesting one. Of course, I still hold my Cetus. I'm waiting for more clarity because they have started to put more TVL back into it because this was as low as $34 million. So I am sitting tight at the moment. I am significantly up on my Cetus investment. Of course, the average is way, way better. And of course, we have still yet to make the decision of making sure that which of these DEXs is the winner. So far, Bluefin is growing its TVL. Of course, Momentum, like I talked about as a DEX, has also done very well over the last 1 month. If we look at Base, the number 1 dApp on Base is Morpho. The TVL here is $1 billion, surpassing Aerodrome Finance. Of course, then there will be more TVL because it is a Ethereum layer 2. So you got the likes of Uniswap and Aave and other things on this chain as well that increase and balloon that TVL. But you have to go all the way here to really go to a real dApp that is used by Base. You've got Moonwell, TVL 215 million, of course, and you've got, I think Spark is on 5 chains, Moonwell is on 4, and then of course you've got, if you have a look at this, Extra Finance, 64 million in TVL, very low liquidity, but that's where this comparison drops. So as far as I know, the TVL of these base ones, if they are a single chain like Aerodrome, they're going to be very, very interesting in terms of growth. So I do still believe Aerodrome is the best dApp for the DEXs or the DeFi projects on the Sui network. Now let's go deep dive into the actual ecosystem. So this is the Sui ecosystem in the last 24 hours. The layer 1 has absolutely come down a bit, so you would expect numbers like this. And the biggest gainers here, you've got small projects like Sui AI and AI Sui. You've got Wave over here. But really, when you start to look at the biggest dApps, you start to see that the Walrus is the largest after Sui, and of course ignoring the stablecoins. But the volume has come down a bit. So Walrus is at 600 million. Then you've got Deepbook, which was deeply impacted by the Sui hack. And then of course you've got the likes of Cetus protocol here. Cetus has somewhat did okay, but I still would love to see Cetus below 10 cents to absolutely maybe consider loading some more. And then you've got the likes of Lofi. I think Lofi is going to give anything on the base run a good run for its money in terms of the meme coins. And we will actually look at comparative meme coins. Base has a lot more meme coins. And of course, things have been better for EVM compatible chains based on the fact that Solana is just a shit show. Like really, if you love working and in crypto and you want to invest in a meme coin or something, Solana is very tough at the moment, right? A lot of shit going on over there. So Base and EVM chains and Ethereum memes have absolutely rocketed over the last week, a couple of weeks or so, while Ethereum's been running well. So yeah, then you've got, I'm always surprised to see Navi Protocol's market cap remain under $30 million. Of course, Bluefin has come down a bit as well. I would love Bluefin to come down a bit more. Trading volume has gone up. And the thing about Bluefin is, if it comes down to a level, of course, it has a higher inflation and unlocks as well. So you have to be able to sell this and you have to time it. But if you zoom out and see the chart over a longer period, you start to notice that, look, 37 million market cap. This has been growing steadily due to unlocks. And then you've got 121 million fully diluted. TVL has gone up significantly because they've added spot as well now. So this is one that's still undervalued. I think this should be going to somewhere in the region of $1 billion. Eventually, if it dominates and becomes the #1 dApp on the Sui blockchain, and you can actually trade both spot and perpetual dexes. And this was actually originally on the Arbitrum network before it was on the Sui, before they relaunched it on Sui, and it was doing crazy numbers over there. So that is Bluefin, Bluefin spot, Bluefin. You can, whatever, you can actually go and buy things on the DEX. Very good, undervalued still. And I do believe Navi Protocol should technically get a bid. Why? Because Navi is the second largest protocol in the Sui lending ecosystem, but it's never really caught any particular fire to do really well. And I think based on the closeness with the Mr. Labs team, this project should be, at the very least, with the tokenomics here as well, 50% circulating. And look at the TVL. The TVL is quite massive, but has been a risky one so far. Okay, so I would say, my thesis on the Sui network hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is consistently looking for a better DEX, perhaps seeing where the race is won in terms of the post-Sui hack #1 DEX on Sui. I think Cetus still needs to be given an opportunity and a chance, and I'm still holding my Cetus, but I'm also looking at the likes of Scalab and the Bluefin and of course Navi Protocol because I believe these dApps will make crazy amount of money. Now, one that I shared earlier on was FlowX Finance. Again, very, very small here, $3 million market cap. I do believe I shared that one at $1 million. And then the rest of it, you know, you've got other things coming on to Sui. Again, I'm still looking at the early stage projects over here that we can share and we can eat from. But meme coins, of course, you still have, you know, Lofi, Blob, and FUD. Again, the other stuff is just very, very much way risky at the moment. But it's nice to see, you know, Dark Times doing numbers. And this is the only gaming project with a good token on the Sui ecosystem there. You know, again, you know, Dark Times is very, very tiny, hardly any volume. So Sui is still growing. Therefore, there are lots of opportunities. Now, when we compare this to Base, right, and when we go to the Base ecosystem, so what we said, Morpho has the largest TVL. The native dApps, you've got virtual protocols leading here. Of course, SPX is on multi-chain, especially on Ethereum. And then you've got a lot of multi-chain projects here. You've got the likes of Brett. You've got the likes of, you know, Aerodrome, Kato, Morpho. These are all native dApps. But I do believe the next 100x potential could be something like Noice. And I wouldn't even say 100x. Let's be realistic. You know, we call it like a 20 to 50x play. Why? It's as good as DGen, but it has the full tech stack to be able to integrate into the base chain. Now, Noice is a very tiny cryptocurrency, okay? And I have done a deep dive for the community, and I've stated the reasons why I do believe Noice will do very well in the up-and-coming bull market. It's not even 30 million. It's not even 20 million. It's literally 10, 11 million in terms of market cap. So you have to go down a long way to actually find this token. But I do believe, based on the partnerships that they've done recently, support they got from the base team, I think they'll do really well. And maybe asking DXP, what is Noice? So Noice is a type of social fi play. Now, DGen is the OG in terms of tipping people as to how on X and stuff like that, okay? So I've done a deep dive on this, and I have already done a video on Noice. But let me show you what Noice is and why I believe Noice could be the one that makes you crazy amount of money on the base network. So it's up 5%, $12 million market cap, nearly just under 3 million in terms of trading volume. Ever since I did my first video on this has been in price discovery. And Noice is just a unique one. It's just a sexy one. That's it. You know, you've missed Kato or any of these virtuals or any of these revolutionary projects that are coming out of the base. You know, you've got something here that will definitely be at least of a significant move. So that's what Noice is. Noice is a tiny cryptocurrency, and Noice is a project that makes every interaction on Forecaster instantly liquid. Now, what makes it even more interesting is if you look at the way Base have actually supported this, it's quite interesting. They chose this on, you know, they chose this one for many, many different projects. And of course, last night I did another deep dive for the VIP group. Base is building fast. Flash blocks are now staged to roll out. They reduce block times from 2 seconds to 200 milliseconds. All right. That makes Base 10x faster, giving builders users huge advantage. Now, build on Base is a real thing. They really do encourage other builders to come on Base. Of course, Noice was no different. And out of 2,600 registered Base builders, Noice was chosen as the first project on the Base Accelerator badge. This includes access to VC exposure, resources, and ecosystem support through Base's builder program like Barches. Of course, you can watch the whole thing there in the VIP. Noice supports tipping with 8 tokens, okay? You can actually tip up to 8 tokens. The Base team was hands-on in the pre and post-launch, visible on Twitter, of course. not just the degen clone, it's aiming to tip in integration directly onto X. Only project on X API working towards social tipping. Now, the production quality is elite. Of course, they've got a 5-person docs team, and they have what almost feels like a strong KOL vibes, to be honest, the founders. Active on Forecast, they expand into Solana, Monad, and potentially others. Strong synergy with Zora and the creator economy narrative on Base, and that can't be ignored. This isn't just a Noice. Noice is trying to change social fi game. And what will be, why do I think Noice will do well? Well, if they can actually integrate on X, then it's all over, right? It's a game changer. If you integrate this directly with the X API and the X team, and you start tipping, then I think Base has another useful dApp or application. People don't actually know how to classify these projects. Anything that's built on any ecosystem is just a dApp application that requires to catch utility. So I think these guys are onto something. Okay, I think they're onto something. I think it's a big deal for me anyway. I have given these at at few different levels. So that's what Base is doing. Base is trying to build social fi. They're trying to be the first to these AI agents, and Sui, of course, and Mr. Labs, of course, the Sui Foundation. They know they have the ability to onboard millions of users, just like Base through the Coinbase wallet. And that's why these two particular chains will farm you some of the next 100x gems. All right? Stay safe out there, guys. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll catch you on the next one.